And how you doing, everybody? A very pleasant Thursday afternoon to you, wherever you may be. Thursday afternoon on the East Coast at noon Eastern, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. We're your two humble hosts, Charlie O, Vasu, Vaddiparty, here with you on the Make the Money and Run podcast for August 12th, 2021. We are sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino. You can catch them at www.britanniaarmsdeanza.com. They're located on South Deanza Boulevard at 1087. And you see the phone number there, 408-252-7262. Good English pub food, good drafts on beer. You can't go to an English pub without getting a Guinness. I don't particularly favor Guinness, but a lot of people do. English Premier League, and with football starting today, no better place than to have a sponsor, Britannia Arms of Cupertino, with the DirecTV, the NFL Sunday Ticket. Their English breakfasts are tremendous. Their cheesesteaks, their pizzas are great. But most of all, the fish and chips for the English pub. So the Britannia Arms of Cupertino, welcome to the team. Thank you very much. Mike Ellenberg, Tommy Cage, the two proprietors of the Cupertino office in the San Jose area. The address is actually San Jose, but Britannia Arms of Cupertino. There you see the website, britanniaarmsdeanza.com. Check it out. Check out the menu. Give them a call. They'll host parties. And for football season, there's no better place, really, to go watch the NFL Sunday Ticket. They have 17 TVs there, and they're all set. They're open every Saturday and Sunday early for the English Premier League and the NFL Sunday Ticket, all college football Saturday. And, of course, your weekly run-of-the-mill 9 to 5 people that go in for happy hour and your regular crowd as well, too. So thanks to the Britannia Arms for coming aboard on the Make the Money and Run podcast. Charlie, how are you on this Thursday?
Hey, listen, I'm good, and I want to be Corbin Burns.
All right, go ahead. I'll bite. I probably know it, but go ahead. I'll bite.
I want to come back. I want to be able to throw 10 strikeouts in a row. I want to be able to tie Tom Seaver in the record books. I want to look that good. I want to have hair that long, and I want to be able to throw pitches like that. Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, and then come off the mound and go, I didn't know why they were throwing the ball out of the game. I guess I did something good.
Yeah, Corbin Burns, 10 strikeouts in a row yesterday, ties the great Tom Seaver. Actually, Aaron Nola has the record. He had 11 against the Mets early in the year. I actually listened to that game, and he was on fire that game. One of the better Aaron Nola performances.
Yes.
We know he's been up and down this year for the Philadelphia Phillies, who finally lost a game. We'll get to the baseball coming up. We've got training camp news to talk about. We're here Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Mondays at 3 Eastern, Thursdays at noon Eastern right now as you're here on Facebook and YouTube, and Fridays at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific, Facebook and YouTube. If you miss any of it, including our world-famous unsponsored pick segment, they're not sponsoring us yet. The Britannia Arms are not sponsoring the pick segment yet. They want to make sure we win some games before they actually sponsor that part of the segment. So they are there for that. You can review and subscribe, download anywhere you get your podcast. Just find that logo up in the corner, Vasu Vaddiparty. Charlie O with you on this Thursday afternoon. And you know what today is, Charlie, before we get to all the other sports? The NFL starts today. Preseason football starts today with 2 games. How about that?
Yay. No, I'm glad to have football back. I'm really glad to have preseason back because I believe that that's going to make for a much, much better regular football season because the guys are going to be in shape. They're going to have a chance to put plays in. So rather than having to wait for 4 or 5 games into the season to have the season be exciting, we should be able to go into game 1 and have exciting football right out of the chute. So in all reality, I really am excited about it. Plus the fact we're going to get a chance to look at players in advance that will help us with our wagering. And gosh, I just realized today, I got to start getting ready for my fantasy football draft.
Don't forget the preseason is only 3 weeks long, and the NFL will have a 17-game season. So this week is like week 2. Next week, we'll have a lot of the players that are going to play most of the year are going to play in week 2, and then week 3 will be the same as the last preseason week before Labor Day weekend and the weekend after that. Of course, college football starts on the 28th as well, too. By the way, you can check us out. It's a set on social media. We'll have later picks at 6 Eastern. I want to throw that out there because we have one game going off in a couple of minutes. Marcus Stroman, game 1 of the New York Mets and Washington Nationals. Marcus Stroman and Sean Nolan going for the Nationals. 206.5 the total. Starts in about 2 minutes if you have any interest in that game. the Cardinals. I'm going to give you that first pick right now. The Cardinals go off at 12:30 in about a half an hour right now against the Pirates. They've won 2 in a row in Pittsburgh. They're going with Wade LeBlanc against JT Brubaker, who's been their best pitcher for Pittsburgh. But I'm going with the Cardinals to win 3 in a row. They may not win the Central, but they're right there in the wild card. All that baseball and more as we come back, but you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. You can send us any questions on email, mtmarpodcast@gmail.com. Of course, we have a Make the Money and Run page as well, too, where we have all our questions and comments come in. And also check out the Britannia Arms of Cupertino as well, as they're going to be showing us games, and they're going to give us some options too. Make sure if you go to Britannia Arms of Cupertino, you mention you heard it on the Make the Money and Run podcast and mention our names or mention the show, and they'll take care of you very well as well too. All right, get back to it here. So training camps are open. We've got the training camp going tonight, 2 games tonight, 3 tomorrow, 10 Saturday, 1 Sunday. The futures odds right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, even after last year, I have to see their offensive line improve before I say that they're the favorite right now, plus 500. Tampa Bay second at plus 625. These are all $100 bets. So if you don't understand the lines, this is if you throw $100 out on Kansas City, you're going to get $500 back and so forth as you go on. Tampa Bay plus 625. Green Bay and the Rams. I guess Aaron Rodgers is back in camp, so all of a sudden that line went down to plus 1,200. And then San Francisco and Buffalo. Buffalo at plus 1,300, not surprising. 49ers, maybe a little surprising at plus 1,300, but they're a ready to win made team right now. And then the Baltimore Ravens round out this group at plus 1,700, and then it goes up into the 2,000s from there. Charlie, early thoughts on the NFL futures right now?
Well, I'm a little surprised that they dropped Green Bay down that quickly, in the sense that I would like to see Green Bay get things together a little more before you crown them that much of a favorite, because I think they're still a team in a bit of disarray. Rodgers coming in to camp and all of that together. I'm not excited about that team until I see them play a little bit and know that they're a team that's going to be together. I don't like a team that lacks unity, and I think they're a team that lacks unity. As far as the 49ers, the 49ers don't believe in their own starting quarterback. At least that's the statement that they're making right now. So why would I believe in putting that kind of money down on their future odds at this point? I would have to see them believe a little more in Jimmy Garoppolo and make that statement, and before I would put that money down on their future. Now, we may see them make more of that statement after this week. For folks that are in Northern California, there's been all of this buzz about Trey Lance. Oh, Trey Lance, the quarterback of the future. He could even be the quarterback of this year. He's not going to be the quarterback of this year, but they've been making all of that statement for all of that, and it's been a circus out here around him. But I would like to see them make a more definitive statement about their backing of Jimmy Garoppolo before I would put down money on their futures. But I do like the Rams, and I do like Baltimore. I think Baltimore could really be the sleeper. I don't know why I wished I had more of a definitive statement to make about Baltimore other than my gut, but I've liked that team. I like the configuration of that team. I love the coach. And I just feel like that team has been knocking on the door and should break through. And I feel like this could be the year. You're muted. Vasu, you're muted. There you go.
All right, here we go. Anyway, well, I like Baltimore a little bit too, but I'm just not. It's time for Lamar Jackson to show up and throw the ball and be more accurate. He's got to be a passing first quarterback in the NFL. The NFL is too fast for him to be just a running quarterback. So that's one. I
agree with that.
So that's one possibility of that. Buffalo, boy, if their defense improves, it seems like they've got all their defensive guys back. They were in trouble with their cornerback. I think it was Tre'Davious White that was holding out for a little bit. I think he's back in camp, so that greatly helps that defense as well too, at plus 1,300. And another year for Josh Allen. What an arm Josh Allen has! Oh my God, love Josh Allen, and he can run too. But he's a pass first quarterback, and that's why we say pass first quarterback. If you want to go back and hear the interview I had with John Makovic, former college coach, former NFL coach. Great quarterback assessor. He talks about the quarterbacks and how they are pass first in the NFL, run first in college, and the difference between them. All right, some NFL notes training camp notes as we get to it a little bit. Some of the things that are going on in week 1 of preseason. We know everybody's salivating for the NFL, so here we go. Vic Fangio says that Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater are even Steven, which is not good for Denver because Drew Lock is younger. He's their future. And if he's not progressing and Teddy Bridgewater ends up becoming your starting quarterback, who is a good quarterback and he has a good winning percentage, and if they can figure out their running game right now, because they did release Phillip Lindsay from Denver, and I'm not sure how good Von Miller or how healthy Von Miller is right now defensively, but they're in a tough division. They're in that division that has Patrick Mahomes. We don't know how good the Raiders will be. And, oh, by the way, Justin Herbert, only rookie of the year last year, improved that offense big time, and their new coach and their new coaching staff has that defense running around according to training camp reports. So it's not going to be easy in the AFC West, Charlie. And here's Vic Fangio saying that he's not sure whose quarterback is going to be right now going into week 1. Obviously, that could change over the next 2 weeks.
Well, Bridgewater, wherever he goes, he winds up coming to the top. And I know that's not good for Locke, but it's all about winning, and it's all about winning now. I mean, we don't talk about the future anymore in any sport. It's all about now. And Denver wants to win now. They've been languishing for a while, and Bridgewater is Bridgewater good for 5 years? No. Is he good for 3 years? No. Is he good for 2 years? I don't know. But I think Bridgewater could be good for this year. And I would not be surprised at all to see Teddy Bridgewater under center game 1 for Denver. And I have no problem with that, because I think he's the kind of quarterback that can come in for a year and give you a great year. And I think Denver right now is just looking for one great year to give that fan base some hope, because they're a fan base that wants to win.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the situation was with Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina. Their defense was not very good. Christian McCaffrey got hurt middle of the year. I know they wanted to go younger and get a new quarterback. We'll talk about the Carolina Panthers in a second. But Teddy Bridgewater was 5-0 in Drew Brees' absence. Of course, he had players around him. And he won some games in Carolina last year, and they were not that far out of the playoff hunt towards the end of the season last year. I know that division was wrapped up by Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Atlanta was not very good, but Carolina was right there in third, and they were a couple plays away from beating New Orleans and beating Tampa Bay in a couple of those games. I think they were home games that they were close to beating them. All right, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. Well, everybody else's team, but my team. I don't know how they still have the America's team moniker. They are very polarizing. You either hate them or like them. They're the Dodgers, they're the Yankees, they're the Atlanta Braves, they're the Lakers and the Celtics of the NBA. And I can't think of a comparable NHL team. Maybe the Rangers, I guess. You either like them or hate them in the Rangers. But they're on Hard Knocks. Dak Prescott's hurt. He's recovering. Jerry Jones has apologized to Jimmy Johnson, has made up with his coaches, is going to kind of stay out of the limelight this year in terms of the Cowboys and running the offense. And Mike McCarthy's going to have the opportunity to coach his team without a lot of meddling, according to Jerry Jones. But I don't know. I'm just quoting him. We're just here to report, Charlie. I'm just here to report. This is exactly what's happening. Dallas Cowboys in the worst division last year. They were the best team in the division last year that played like crap. The Eagles and the Washington football team. Washington football team ended up winning behind Alex Smith, who had no business being out there, but good for Alex Smith, and they know he's retired. And the Eagles, boy, did they just junk it at the end. I thought they had enough talent as well too, and of course the New York Giants are in that division as well too with their quarterback. I can't remember the quarterback's name. Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, the quarterback there. They're going to have Barkley back this year. It looks like he's going to be healthy come week 1. The NFC East is kind of a tricky division this year, Charlie. How are we looking at it so far on training camp week 1?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Prescott situation, I think, is very concerning if you're a Dallas fan. When you're going to the Texas Rangers and going to their kinesiology staff and saying, hey, can you advise us on how we should have Prescott come back? I think you're grasping at straws. And if you don't know about that, they went to the kinesiology staff of the Rangers and said, how should we have him start throwing? Because they had him throwing just lightly and then laying off, and they had him using a smaller football and everything else. And the Rangers said, look, with the kind of injury he has, which is interestingly enough, more of a baseball style injury than a football style injury, they said, let him rest. And once you start having him throw, have him throw with a regular size football and have him throw as you would have him throw in practice. And if he hurts, then you've got to back him off. So I got to tell you, Vasu, I don't know. I saw some quick tape of him this morning throwing in practice, but it really wasn't full throws. I mean, and they're not going to show you that they're not going to let you see that on video for everybody in the world to see. But I think that's a concerning situation. I'm just right now feeling like maybe he's not completely healed, and I would not be surprised at all to see the Cowboys go into game one and Prescott not be under center or in the shotgun. I mean, I guess it's really not fair to say under center anymore when you go into a football game. But I would not be surprised to see him at starting quarterback in game one, given the situation right now, as he is not throwing as well or throwing as often in preseason.
Andy Dalton, the backup last year that came in and won some games, he got hit around a little bit. Their offensive line was terrible. Andy Dalton now with the Chicago Bears. As you know, as I've mentioned on this show a few weeks in a row now, Andy Dalton not there in the backup. We'll break down the depth charts as we get through the training camp. The depth charts are all out there everywhere you can find them. Surprisingly, the depth charts are actually very accurate in terms of who's where. They update that every week, and they're very good about that. The teams are, and the NFL is as well, too. So Dallas and the NFC East, we're working on that as well, too. Jason Licht, the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, says the window for Tom Brady and this group of players is 2 to 5 years. Tom Brady's 43 years old, I believe, or he just had his birthday. He's 44 years old. One or the other, 78. Yeah, 43 years old. So 2 to 5 years more for this group with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a division where there's no Drew Brees. Matt Ryan's situation in Atlanta's defense is very questionable, and Sam Darnold is coming in to the NFC South for the Carolina Panthers. Of course, they still have Christian McCaffrey. Matt Rule's a very good young coach. His defense flies around. Obviously, 2 years ago, Luke Kuechly retired, and they've been trying to search for a leader on defense. Since then, they've got some guys on that defense that have played well. But this is the NFC South, and right now this looks like to be Tampa Bay's division again because they have all 22 starters. Speaking of the Buccaneers coming back, and Jason Licht, maybe he's just maybe he's still drunk from his Super Bowl party. Who knows? But 2 to 5 years seems like a lot for a 43-year-old quarterback, Charlie.
Hey, you know what? In most cases, I would say you're out of your freaking mind. We're talking about Tom Brady here.
We're not sure he's out of his mind, though.
and when you're talking about Tom Brady, I'm not betting against him. I mean, first of all, you look at this guy and you go, he's not 43. I mean, really, I mean, not just in the face, but you look at the body, you look at the way he moves. I mean, and the fact that the guy played all last year and won a Super Bowl with a knee injury, and now he's got the knee repaired and coming back. I'm not betting against the guy. I think 5 years might be a stretch, but shoot, couple more years at a high level, I have no problem seeing that at all. Which is that bloody amazing? Yes. Is that an outlier? Will we see other guys do that? I don't think so, because I think this guy has a high level commitment that is off the charts. But yeah, no, I can see that. And as far as the team goes, I think it's amazing that they have all 22 players returning. I think that is a high level commitment from ownership. And I think the key will be that they have to find the quarterback to come in behind Brady. I mean, they've got to find his apprentice, and that will be the key there. But no, I see, and especially in a division that is in such disarray, I think they can do that. So he still may be drunk, but I think he's probably a pretty good, pretty wise drunk at this point.
No doubt about it. Vasu, Vaddiparty, Charlie on the Make the Money and Run podcast, sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino in San Jose. Check out the website at BritanniaArmsDeanza.com. Go in there for English pub food, English grub. NFL Sundays are coming up with the NFL Sunday Ticket. Great place to go watch NFL Sundays and college football Saturdays. English pub obviously relates to soccer, so the English Premier League and all the soccer leagues are there as well, too. Check out Mike and Tommy over there in Cupertino, California. If they happen to be in the area, I mentioned you heard the Britannia Arms ad on the Make the Money and Run podcast. All right, a couple more NFL notes here with Charlie O. Aldon Smith released by Seattle. Apparently there was an off-field incident that I had not heard, and usually I'm all up on this news stuff, and I had not heard that there was another off-field incident, but there must have been because they haven't even had a game yet. They've only had 2 weeks of practice, and he's already been released by the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, we've seen this in the Bay Area, both with the 49ers and the Raiders. It's a sad situation, and now he's in his early 30s, and he may have to start figuring out. Hopefully he's put some money away, or he hasn't given it all away to lawyers, Charlie, and I say that tongue-in-cheek. But in all seriousness, he's having a rough time right now, and I'm not sure exactly who the people are around him, but I feel bad for him. I mean, I feel bad for some of the things that we've all gone through situations, but boy, one after the other, and he's in a position where he's an NFL player, and he just seemingly just can't take care of himself. And now Seattle has released him as well too, and you got to do a lot to get released by Seattle. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, well, no, I agree, and Vasu, I feel I was so sad to hear that news because I was really excited about what he did in Dallas last year because I thought finally he's put it back together. Things are coming together for the guy because as a football talent, this guy is a talented guy, and here he is coming back, and I thought we've got a real redemption story here going on, and I thought but not more just than just a redemption story. I thought as an individual, the guy had put it together. And I was so sad to hear this news. And I think you're right. I don't know who his team is that's around him. But obviously he needs a new team, a personal team around him at this point. And maybe he doesn't have one. I don't know. But
he has an agent. I mean, he's got to have somebody.
We know that players tend to have teams around them. That's kind of the scenario. And man, this poor guy needs a new team around him.
Yeah, he needs somebody to tell him no every once in a while because he can't be yes, man.
Because and it may be too late. I mean, for every player that has problems, there is an end of the line.
Right.
And he got the second chance last year in Dallas. Well, no, I shouldn't say second chance. I mean, how many chances have there been? But he got the redemption chance in Dallas last year. And then to hook on with Seattle, which is a fine organization, it would have been a real opportunity for him again with a high-level team. And now to have that blow up, wow, I don't know. At some point, everybody just says, that's it, we're done. And so
he's an older player. If you can't, I mean, when your skills are going to be diminished. 31, 32, but in the NFL, if your skills are diminished.
No. I mean, that's senior citizen time, especially for the positions he plays. So I don't know. I'm really sad. It's a sad story.
Well, now it's about time to start focusing on his life. He's got a lot of life left. Hopefully, I mean, God forbid anything happens down the road, but hopefully he's got a lot of life left and he's starting to see what the circumstances are. All right, the last thing, shout out to our friend Kent Sterling in Indianapolis. I love his post, by the way. You should check him out on Stables Media as well. He's got a morning coffee show, I guess he does on Facebook, but he's on with us every once in a while. He'll give us a good view of Indianapolis sports and all around the Midwest in that area. Carson Wentz apparently had a serious injury. Quentin Nelson, the all-pro guard, great guard for the Indianapolis Colts. Apparently their injuries and their surgeries have gone so well that they're on track, according to what the reports came out yesterday, and maybe Ken can jump in if he's happened to see this, that they're going to start, that there's a possibility that they're both going to start for week 1. We only have 3 preseason games, Charlie.
When I heard that report, I was absolutely amazed because, they were talking mid-season. And
for Wentz especially. I'm
going mid-season for Wentz. Gosh, I feel bad for people in Indianapolis. It looked like a positive season, and now it looks like it's an also ran. And when I heard that news, I'm going, wow. My only hope, because I know Wentz feels like he's got an awful lot to prove to the NFL. And my only hope is that he's not pushing it too hard to get back to do that, because I don't think he has anything to prove to the NFL. First of all, I think he was in a crap situation in Philadelphia. That whole Philadelphia situation was a disaster. So he can come back. He's in a new home, a new situation where they will let him develop and become who he is there. So I just hope he's not trying to get back too quickly. And I think that's the one thing. Frank Wright won't let him come back faster than he should. But if he can come back week one, what a change in the fortune. I mean, that'll change the futures odds right there for the Colts. And speaking of the Colts, big extension yesterday for the head coach.
Yeah, Frank Reich and Chris Ballard, the general manager. 2 more years on the extension. They've got a window right now in the AFC South. They've got some competition in the AFC South with the Tennessee Titans right now. And if Tennessee's improved their defense a little bit, then they're right there as well, too. All right, speaking of some of the teams to talk about in preseason, I read this article, and there were 6 teams that they were underdogs to buy. And I'm not sure I buy a lot of this, but I'm not completely unsold on the fact that these 6 teams are right there. Jacksonville, of course, Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 pick, Urban Meyer there. They're going to have to figure out their defense. I don't think they're ready to win this year in the AFC South. You got Tennessee and Indianapolis, but Trevor Lawrence, we all know about him from Clemson, and Urban Meyer, of course, longtime coach in college, getting his first NFL shot right now. And the LA Rams are up there. I'm not sure they're an underdog. I guess they're in the 49ers division, the NFC West. Seattle's really good. Even Matt Mayokos thinks that Arizona's Super Bowl quality. I don't buy Arizona's Super Bowl quality, so we disagree on that. Cam Akers, their running back from last year, is out for the whole year this year, and that's going to be a big impingement on Matthew Stafford and play action for Sean McVay's offense. And then Carolina with Sam Darnold. I believe Sam Darnold's going to have a good year for the Carolina Panthers. If McCaffrey's healthy, he's a very good play action passer as well, too. He did a lot of that at USC. They tried that with the Jets a little bit. They just didn't have the running game to go up with play action, and he's a good enough athlete if he didn't get hit enough in New York to be able to lead Carolina to some victories. Pittsburgh has a new offensive coordinator in Matt Canada. They've got Najee Harris to run. You knew they were passing on every down last year, and that's what Ben Roethlisberger said last week at the Hall of Fame game. He said, if you know we're going to pass, and then we're easily readable in terms of the offense. And then we talked about the Colts and Carson Wentz and Indianapolis and the 2-year extensions for Reich and Ballard as head coach and GM combination. And then the Detroit Lions are very interesting to me in the NFC North, because obviously I'm a Bears fan. The Packers are there. Jared Goff is there. They've improved the defense a little bit in the trade. They've got a lot of draft picks coming in terms of the next few years, but this year they've also got guys coming in that can help that situation. And if Jared Goff plays anything like he did for the good years that he had in Los Angeles, then Detroit may not be too far off in terms of how the NFC North is shaped. And of course, Dan Campbell, the coach there, is all fired up from day one. I think he said he already has 6 cups of coffee in the morning to start his day, but he's already fired up for 6 cups of coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, Charlie, so I don't know the effects of it. I do drink a lot of soda, so I get it from that standpoint. But if he's got 6 cups of coffee and he's already like that, look out, Mike LaFleur, look out, Matt Nagy. And look out, who's the other coach in there? Minnesota. Look out to Zimmer or whoever's the coach over in Minnesota right now, because he might tackle you.
We can't even remember who the coach is.
Mike Zimmer. He might even tackle those guys. He might tackle those guys instead of the 22 on the field. Charlie, so what do you think? Any of these teams interest you, or anybody else off the board?
Here's his coffee regimen. He starts off with 2 Ventes and then has them add 3 espresso shots in each one.
Right.
Okay. So this guy's blood pressure, by the time they hit the practice field, is like 250 over 175. Okay. So if he makes it through the season, he's something else. I get a kick out of him. I think people make a little too much out of it. He's just a character, and I think we're going to have a good time with him. But seriously, looking at
any of these teams or anybody off the board that you like in addition?
Well, I'm throwing Jacksonville off the board right now because first of all, I'm not a big fan of putting too much faith in a college coach coming to the NFL their first season. There's a learning curve. I don't care who it is. There's a learning curve. Plus, you've got a rookie quarterback. No, they're gone. Detroit, I think they're improved, but they've got so much improvement. They're gone. Rams, I think they could be interesting. I wouldn't, if you're going to put any money on there, not a lot. Because they could be good, but that's a tough division. Carolina, I like Carolina. I think Sam Darnold is going to be good. And if they're healthy, I think that could be a good situation. I think this is Big Ben's swan song. And I think he is committed to doing well. It's a matter of can he stay healthy? But if he's healthy, I think they're a team to watch. Colts, again, Wentz, if he starts off game one and can stay healthy, that's worth a little money in there. So I like looking at, again, not a huge amount of investment, but a little investment on the Rams, Carolina, Pittsburgh, and Indianapolis. Hey, that's worth a little investment. But Jacksonville, Detroit, sorry, out.
We'll get through all the teams in training camp. We'll break down all the teams. We'll get the depth charts going. Might even post them up at some point as well, too. All right. Well, we are as a wagering show, so we do have preseason lines tonight. They're both on the NFL Network. Thank you, DirecTV. The only thing that I like about DirecTV is they treat the NFL very well because they have alternate channels. I know the cable companies do not. So both games will be available on DirecTV live at 4:30 on the West Coast, 7:30 on the East Coast. NFL Network main channel and the NFL Network alternate channel. The Patriots and the Washington football team. New England -1 at home, 37 the total. And then on the alternate channel, live Philadelphia -1 versus Pittsburgh. You know, the state of Pennsylvania goes crazy anytime they play each other. The total 36. Not sure who's going to play in the game. I would definitely start watching the NFL Network at 3 o'clock West Coast time if you're going to even think about laying any money on there. But both games will start at 4:30. Both games are going simultaneous. I have them DVR'd. We will watch them, and we will see the players that come through there. Charlie, we have our first football lines of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see a line. The fact that they're both -1 should tell you something. I mean, every game right now on the board is a -1 +1. It's week one. So, I mean, if you want to have a little fun, sure, have a little fun. Week 2, have a little fun. Week 3, now by week 3, then you can start having a lot of fun.
Actually, this year, Charlie, it's going to be week 2 because there's only 3 preseason games.
Yeah, well, okay, but I still wouldn't get over serious in week 2, okay? But week 3, then you can start getting serious because you're going to start seeing the starters in all seriousness and getting things going. But if you want to have a little fun, have a little fun. The totals, yeah, but don't bet your mortgage, okay?
Make the money and run every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Thanks to Frank on Facebook right now, Facebook and YouTube Live. Download, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you get your podcasts. Also, you can check us out on social media. We'll have our picks at the end of the segment. I gave you the St. Louis Cardinals. They are starting off in about 2 minutes. They're 1:30 with Wade LeBlanc against JT Brubaker in an afternoon game in Pittsburgh. St. Louis trying to hold on the wild card right now. You can send us any comments you have on football, mtmarpodcast@gmail.com. Also, check out the Facebook and Instagram pages. We are sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino, 1087 South De Anza Boulevard in San Jose, California at 408-252-7262. The website's there, BritanniaArmsDeAnza.com. Go in there, check it out. English Premier League, NFL Sunday Ticket, college football. Charlie?
And if you go in there to watch soccer, you have to have a Bass Ale. Okay, you cannot go in and watch soccer and not have a Bass Ale. Okay, that's like mandatory. If you don't have a Bass Ale, they're going to throw you out in the street. Okay, because that's the official drink of soccer. Okay, so have a Bass Ale. It's good ale too. It's good stuff.
Coming up on the Make the Money and Run podcast, sponsored by Britannia Arms of Cupertino. In 30 seconds, we'll talk Major League Baseball. The division races are heating up, especially in the National League East. The wild card races in both the National League and the American League, the AL East, the AL West, and the White Sox and the Yankees have a game in Iowa today. Field of Dreams game that was supposed to happen last year, going to happen tonight in Dyersville, Iowa. I'll tell you more about that as I got a note from a friend of ours that covers the New Orleans Saints who grew up in Iowa. So gave me a little capsule on Dyersville, Iowa, where the Yankees and White Sox are going to be on Fox tonight in the Field of Dream games, and they're going to have old-time uniforms and everything. Back with all the baseball in 30 seconds. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast for Thursday, August 12th, 2021. Vasu, Vaddiparty, Charlie O here with you. See you in 30. And welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast, brought to you by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino, 1087 South De Anza Boulevard, 408-252-7262. Great English pub, BritanniaArmsDeAnza.com. With football starting, Saturday college football and Sunday NFL ticket. They have all that there. 17 TVs, beers on tap, full liquor cabinet, and the food, Britannia Arms cheesesteaks, pizzas, but also very famous for their fish and chips as well, too. So thanks to Britannia Arms of Cupertino for coming on as well, too. Vasu, Vaddiparty, Charlie O. You catch us every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. You can download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. And also don't forget to hit our email, mtmarpodcast@gmail.com. With football coming in, we'll also talk about fantasy football as we go through these next few weeks as well, too. We'll get you set up for fantasy football as well, too. That's a part of wagering as well, too. So we'll have that as well. We'll have all the lines. We'll keep track of all the lines and all the odds for the NFL. But right now, we're going to switch over to baseball. We gave you the futures last week for the World Series coming up. They haven't changed very much. The Dodgers still the favorite yesterday. Dodgers went into Philadelphia and broke the 8-game winning streak of the Philadelphia Phillies right now. The Philadelphia Phillies, the Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta Braves, New York Mets, all tied for first. They all have 55 losses. The Mets are one game back in the standings, but they all have 55 losses right now. The Atlanta has 59 wins, Philadelphia has 59 wins, and the Mets have 57 wins. Again, 55 losses for all three of them. The Nationals are out of it now, 50-63, 8.5 back, 2-8. They blew a game yesterday. Mets walked them off in a game yesterday, and then Miami bringing up the rear. The difference between the Braves and the Phillies right now, Braves are plus 68 run differential. Ozzie Albies walked off the Reds last night, much to my chagrin. Charlie's a Reds fan, much to his chagrin too. But I had the Reds at plus 110. I actually had them in a live bet in the 9th inning at plus 190. And then Ozzie Albies, and looked good in the 10th inning, and Ozzie Albies wrecks my night with a 3-run walk-off home run. They're 8-2. Both the Phillies and Braves are both 8-2. The NL East right now, they're not going to get a wild card, Charlie, but here they are all tied for first. And even though I wouldn't say they're mediocre, they're a little bit above that, but they're not in the same league as Milwaukee and San Francisco and Los Angeles right now. I might even put San Diego in this group right now based on the injuries and what's going on with San Diego. But let's talk NL East a little bit. Atlanta, Philadelphia, New York, all tied for first in the loss column.
Yeah, they decided to make a race out of it, which is interesting. Phillies fans are losing their minds. The radio group that I work for, we have our station in Philly is the radio flagship for the Phillies, and they're just going nuts. They're just going nuts. After the Sixers got knocked out, and after the Eagles season and everything else, they're losing their minds. And I'm hoping the Phillies don't fold up on it, because we're gonna have to send in an entire counseling team if that happens. Which the Phillies are very capable of doing.
Very capable.
But I got to tell you, I'm watching Atlanta. Atlanta, by all rights and means, should have folded up their tent and just said, okay, we're done for the season. And they have not done that. And you pointed out the most important thing to me right now that I'm watching. They're the only team in that division that has a plus run differential. Everybody else is a minus run differential,
right,
and they're plus 68. And I think coming down the stretch, they may just be a juggernaut that people can't overcome. Coming down the stretch for all these teams, it's always going to come down to pitching. And with DeGrom out for the Mets, and who knows when he's really coming back, if he's coming back, because those are long-term decisions that you have to make. It's going to be hard to know, but the Phillies are playing well. They're playing inspired. I think when it's all said and done, it's going to come down to a 2-team race. I think it's going to come down to the Phillies and the Braves, because I don't know. I feel the Mets fading.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy for that, because we have a lot of friends who are Mets fans. I'm not happy for that, especially because for our Mets fans, the Yankees are not fading, and that makes them even more unhappy. But I feel that right now.
No doubt about it. You can keep track of the betting lines underneath on the ticker right there. It said St. Louis and Pittsburgh have already started. There are a couple of games coming up. The A's are going to go at 1 o'clock. We'll get to the American League in a second. My take on the NL East right now is the Atlanta Braves. Their bullpen is very shaky. Will Smith right now is not the best closer. The Phillies made a trade for Ian Kennedy from Texas. He's helped. It's allowed them to move Neris out of the 9th inning. And Ranger Suarez, who's going to go in a bullpen game, they're going at 1 o'clock in a half hour. Philadelphia and LA is going at 1:10 Eastern right now. They're also going with a bullpen game with Mitch White and Ranger Suarez. It's going to be, I'm not sure how many runs are going to be scored. It's probably very humid in Philly right now at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that game, as you can see on the bottom, the over-under is 10 with White and Suarez going for the Reds and for the Dodgers and the Phillies right now. But speaking of Atlanta, they did walk off the Reds last night. Ozzie Albies having a great year. Freddie Freeman having a great year. Offensively, they're there. I'm just not sold on their pitching yet, and I'm not sold on Philadelphia's pitching yet either. So I don't know. It's going to be if they play each other. I don't know when they play each other next. We'll find that out for next week. But when the Phillies and Braves play each other, I mean, these over-unders are going to be 9.5, 10, 11, maybe, and it's going to be an offensive juggernaut. It's going to be home run derby to determine who wins the National League East, because none of these teams are in wild card contention. As I look at it right now, the Braves and Phillies and Mets are all 5 games back in the wild card standings in the loss column. 4.5, 6 for Atlanta and Philadelphia, 7 for the Mets in the standings, but 5 back all in the loss column based on the rainouts and the number of games that are out there. So their only hot hope for a second team is the wild card right now, because the division is still up in the air, and I'm not sure they're good enough to be a wild card team with the Padres and the Dodgers leading the way, and Cincinnati only 4 back. And 4 back right there. Cincinnati's lost 3 in a row, especially after that walk-off last night to Atlanta. How about the Milwaukee Brewers? The Milwaukee Brewers, the second best team in the National League, 69-46. They've won 7 of their last 10. They put the Cubs into further misery. Cubs get swept by their crosstown rivals over the weekend by the White Sox, who put a big can of whoop 'em on them over the weekend. That pitching staff's really hit up bad. They get swept by Milwaukee, another team that's not very liked in the city of Chicago to begin with. They get swept by them, and Jake Arrieta gave up 6 runs in the first inning yesterday, and I'm afraid that Jake Arrieta's time, if it hasn't come to an end before from what people are watching on TV, it may have come to an end after yesterday, because that 6-run first inning by Milwaukee really put them under the gun to have to make a decision. They've already sold off half their team, and might be time to get rid of Arrieta's salary. I don't like to do that to players, but he's not good right now. By the way, Kyle Hendricks, who goes for the Cubs today, see that on the bottom again. They are going with Milwaukee again. They've got one more game in the afternoon. Brandon Woodruff and Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks is tied for the National League lead in wins for a team that is, where are they? They are 52-64. Kyle Hendricks is 13-4 for a team that's 52-64. And for those that are old enough to remember that, it sounds like a lot like Steve Carlton in 1972 for the Cardinals. 27 wins of their 58 total wins the Cardinals had that year, and that was even with Bob Gibson on that team in 1972 as well, too, Charlie. How about the Milwaukee Brewers in the Central? It looks like they're going to win the division, and it looks like they're going to go run away with it, Charlie.
Yeah, they are really good. They've won 9 games against the Cubs this year, and in Chicago, and that's an all-time record for them. I mean, they would love to play the Cubs every day, because they just own them. But they're just really a good team, and they're doing it on pitching, because I mean, yesterday they scored 7 runs in the first inning, but that's not been their norm. No. They've had to live and die with their pitching, and if their bats come alive, Katie barred the door. Now it's going to be, I mean, it will be seriously a problem for everybody in the National League. So it's a situation there where they have had great pitching and timely hitting. So if they can start putting the hitting together, and this would be the time of year to do it, they'll be tough. But yeah, it's a good team. It's a well-managed team. They seem to be a team that loves to play together. So they're dangerous. They're very, very dangerous. And they could easily be the champions of the National League. I mean, you do not write them off. I mean, I know there's the Giants. I know there's the Dodgers. We think the Padres are an also ran, and I have come on board with that because my partner has been preaching that to me, and I now believe it. But Uh, uh, Milwaukee is. I believe that Milwaukee could be there in the end.
Yeah, if they hit, then they're right there with them. By the way, the last stat I said before we get to the National League West here, Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, and Freddie Peralta. I forgot which order they're in, but one of them is OPS is under 500 at 494. The other one is at 502, and the other one's at 504. That's OPS we're talking about. That's their pitching lines for the OPS, and OPS is very big in sabermetrics now. That's on base percentage plus slugging percentage, and if you're only at 500. In that regard, then you're having a great year pitching wise, and they're having a great year pitching wise. And Josh Hader's still on the coronavirus list. He's going to come back and he'll solidify that bullpen. But they did get beat by good pitching, and they did get beat by some of their own mistakes over the weekend by the Giants. They do have one more game against the Cubs today, so they're playing of the 19 games in the division, 10 are in Chicago. And this would be a record. I can't think of anybody that has won 10 straight on the road against an interdivision team right now. And if they go 10-0 in Chicago, they probably have had a really good year against the Cubs and probably separated themselves in the division. All right, the National League West as we move on. The National League West, we'll talk about the wild card in a second. The San Francisco Giants have maintained their 4-game lead. They look a little tired to me, Charlie. We're here in the Northern California. The pitching staff has kind of given up a few runs. The Arizona Diamondbacks, give them credit. They're not folding the tent. They came back from 5-0 down the other night. They came back from 7-5 down as well in the same game. And then San Francisco had to walk it off with Chris Bryant's play. And then yesterday they get a 7-2 win behind Gossman. Brandon Crawford, who should be in MVP discussion, hit his 19th home run yesterday. They're very good. And right now it seems like their pitching is starting to, I don't want to say their starting pitching seems to fade, but their bullpen still pretty solid right now. And Jake McGee did have a tough time with the blown save the other day, but first blown save, I think, in about a month and a half for him. Where are the Giants right now offensively? Offensively, Chris Bryant has helped big time. Pitching-wise, they're there. The Dodgers are starting to get hot right now. Max Scherzer had another good game the other day. Yesterday, the rain delay stopped him from 3 1/3, but the offense came through against the Phillies, and they're fighting for that division. They want that division. They're leading the wild card right now. They're leading the wild card by 4 games on the Padres. The Padres have a 4-game lead on Cincinnati in the loss column, and then, as we said, 5 against Atlanta, Philadelphia, and New York. One of those East teams will win the division, and then the other 2 are fighting it out for the wild card. But right now they're all tied in that scenario for the wild card, second spot in the wild card. Charlie, the National League West, your thoughts?
Well, I agree. The Giants do seem a little sluggish, and I think they've got to be tired because they've been playing above their station all season long. I mean, again, no one saw the Giants doing this well. If you tell me you did, liar. I mean, that's been my mantra all season long because nobody saw this coming. And they have now the uber talented Dodgers coming at them. I mean, just look at it. Let's just start with run differential. The Giants have a run differential of plus 136. The Dodgers 182.
Right.
They're coming for them. They're coming for them. And if you don't think they're coming for them, look at the books. Okay. The book, the favorite still to win the World Series is the Dodgers. Because people are looking at this situation and the big money is looking at it saying the Dodgers are the team that is stacked the best with the stars to make it happen. I'm sorry to tell you that, Giants fans, but the money out there is saying the Dodgers are going to do it. So you look at all of those things combined. I mean, talent wise, you just look at the rosters up and down, and you say the Dodgers have to do it. Now, does that mean they're going to? Not automatically, because we've seen mismatched rosters throughout history not do it. But man, I got to tell you, if you're the Giants right now, you're sweating bullets because every day right now is a must win. And I think Vasu just froze on us. Okay, so we'll carry on while he thaws out. So that is a situation there where it is going to be interesting to see. Both teams will be. Did we get you back, Vasu?
I am back. Okay.
I was talking to you, and all of a sudden you gave me your Mount Rushmore, so I knew that you had frozen up.
No, you were so right on everything you said that I missed. So it probably was some of your best radio there. Anyway, as we roll through now, you see the lines at the bottom there. So anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it was all good. Dodgers have Phillies and the Mets this weekend. They're playing good teams. The Giants had the Diamondbacks, and now they've got 4 against Colorado. So this is the time you cannot lose ground if you're the San Francisco Giants on that. And then the wild card, the Padres there. I mean, I don't know if the Padres are going through desperation right now. I know Fernando Tatis gets hurt, but you got to think that trying to put him in center field not only is going to take away at bats from other people, but seems to be a little desperation right now. All right, let's move on to the American League. The American League notes we've got here. The Boston Red Sox finally took some frustration out on Tampa Bay yesterday. They got 20 runs on Tampa. Of course, I had Tampa yesterday. If they didn't have the 20, then that 9th inning would have looked really bad for that Boston bullpen because the Rays got 7 runs in the 9th inning, and I think that's going to take them into today's game. They've got a 4 o'clock game against the 4 o'clock Eastern game against the Rays to try and make up some ground. The standings right now in the American League West, the Tampa Bay Rays are 5 games up in the loss column on Boston, 6 up on the Yankees and Toronto. That race is by no means settled at all in the American League East. And then you get the wild card. Boston is in second. They're a game back of the A's in the wild card. The Yankees are 1 game back of Boston, and Toronto is as well, too. And don't count out Seattle yet. They're 5 games out in the wild card race. They may not catch the American League West. The A's and Astros are right there as well, too. Chicago, 2 out of 3. They lost to Minnesota. I know they're cruising. They've got a 9-game lead in the loss column on the Indians. They're 10.5 in the standings. Minnesota kind of gave them up. I know those are rivalries, but they're 9 up in the division in the loss column. And then Houston and Oakland in the American League West, 2 games separated, but the A's lead the wild card by 2 in the loss column over the Red Sox. If they get a home game in the wild card, that's going to suit the A's very well. We know the history living in the Bay Area about that. And of course, Tampa Bay up 5 on Boston. Charlie, American League thoughts right now, because there's some good races in the East. The West is still good with Houston and Oakland, and the wild card races seem to be really good too, because there's going to be games made up from the rain delays.
Yeah, the East, that continues to be interesting. I mean, who thought that the Yankees would close in and be any talk in the race in the East, let alone be a talk in the wild card? And so they're playing well. They're playing hard. Tampa Bay, they continue to be what we thought they would be, and Boston, they're hanging right in there. So they're all having an interesting divisional race, and then they're all in the wild card race. So that's fascinating. It's fun for everybody that's on the East Coast that follow those teams. It's gonna go right down to the wire. It really is. So that's a fun race to watch. That game between Boston and Tampa Bay yesterday, that was just
ugly. If you have Tampa Bay, that was ugly.
I hope everybody had the over.
Yeah, I should have. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right, A's Cleveland, Baltimore, Detroit. Actually, pretty good pitching matchup. No 2 teams not doing anything, but Miguel Cabrera, as our friend Christine just said, Miguel Cabrera at 499 home runs. Love watching him hit.
Boston, now, do you hold him out? Do you hold him out today so he can do it at home over the weekend?
I don't know. I haven't seen the lineup yet. What time do they go? Do they go tonight?
I think
they go at 1 o'clock. So let's see if the lineups are out. He is not in the lineup. So good call, Charlie. He is not in the starting lineup at Baltimore. I gotta think you're right on that. So thanks, Christine, for the note on that. 499 for one of the best hitters. I remember when he was a skinny kid coming up with the Marlins, and they won that World Series in 2003, the Bartman World Series, the Bartman NLCS, and the beating the Yankees in 2003. Some of the other games in the American League, the A's have Cleveland in about 15 minutes to try and sweep that series against the Indians, try and put them out of their misery. The Seattle Mariners still in the race, as we said in the wild card. They've got the Rangers. They walked off Texas last night. We had 3 walk-offs this week off the top of my head. And the last one, Andrew Heaney is going to have to talk to the ghost tonight. Casey Freelove. We got to mention Casey Freelove. His favorite pitcher, Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney used to make a lot of money for him betting against him. He is going up against the White Sox lineup in Dyersville, Iowa. Why Dyersville, Iowa? That's where the film The Field of Dreams was made, and they're going to play on that baseball field. They built an adjacent stadium About 8,000 people are going to be there for the Yankees and White Sox tonight. It's a regular season game. It counts. It's going to be on Fox. Some of the stars from the movie will be there. I cannot believe the movie is 32 years old, I believe is the number now. They were trying to do it last year or in 2019 on the anniversary of the 30 years, but it didn't work out. And so with the pandemic last year, the Field of Dream games, the Yankees and White Sox, what a movie it was. What a great time it has. I didn't go with the girl. So that's why I kept thinking inside baseball crap, like baseball nerdy stuff, because I went with a buddy. When they talk about Moonlight Graham, and there's a real guy, Moonlight Graham, he hit a sacrifice fly. They said he never got an at-bat in the big leagues. And so in the movie, they made it where he hit a sacrifice fly, not to change the records. And there you don't have an official at-bat, but he got into the game. The movie made it out that way. Baseball Reference made it out that way. So that's my little nerdy baseball sabermetric type deal for Archie Moonlight Graham. In the
okay, so now you do that. So I know we're running short on time, but now I got to tell you this thing that I heard yesterday. The character that was played by James Earl Jones, originally they were trying to get the author J.D. Salinger actually that he was supposed to be that character. That was what it was based on. But they actually tried to get him to play that role in the film because he was a noted recluse. And so they begged him to actually play the role in the film. And he gave them the middle finger and said, no way. But that would have been, if that would have happened, that would have become one of the, I mean, it's already a notable movie, but it would have become one of the great, it would have rated up there in one of the all-time classics because he would have come out and been in a movie, and that would have been it.
Our friend Mike Triplett, who's the Saints reporter for ESPN, grew up in Iowa, so he sent me a note. I texted him this morning. He grew up in Davenport, Iowa, about 90 minutes away from Dyersville. Parents went to college near there and were actually vacationing on the same resort where the actors were staying when they were filming it. So that goes back to 1988 when they were filming it. 1989, it came back. Thanks, Mike Triplett, for contributing to the show as well. And then the last game, which is not really of note because Toronto's still in it, but one of the games of note, and you saw it at the bottom right there going by, Toronto's $1.32 favorite at Anaheim. Shohei Ohtani is going as an underdog. The Angels not very good. Toronto very good, but I'm surprised that Ohtani is an underdog at home, Charlie. Give me a quick minute on that. Give me a quick second on that.
Hey, listen, I got to tell you, you know how I feel about home underdogs. And when you're a home underdog with Ohtani on the mound, that's not one of my picks. But I'll tell you, if you're looking to wager a little bit today, I got to tell you, that could be a late pick for me today. Because I've been thinking about that one, and Ohtani and an underdog at home, I'm kind of liking that one.
Yeah, Barrios having a good start with the Blue Jays since his trade. Don't forget, by 6 Eastern, we'll have late night picks as well, too, both on social media, on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Make the Money and Run, brought to you by Britannia Arms of Cupertino, BritanniaArmsDeanza.com. You can find them 1087 South Deanza Boulevard. Now, our world-famous unsponsored pick segment is about to take place. I already told you about the Cardinals. Hopefully you got that at the beginning. They are up 1-0 in the first inning right now, last I checked. So the Cardinals trying to stay in that race. Milwaukee, Chicago, Woodruff and Kyle Hendricks, who said he leads the National League, tied in National League for victories. Under 8.5 in Chicago. Don't know what the weather's like, but I think Brandon Woodruff's good enough to keep that Cubs offense down. Under 8.5. Giants red hot, 188. They've got Colorado in town. Colorado not very good. Chance for them to at least maintain their lead in the NL West. The A's go off in about 10 minutes, 167 at Cleveland. They're looking to sweep. And then Tampa Bay, I'm going with the Rays again. 4 o'clock Eastern as a road, kind of an underdog, minus 102 with Rasmussen and Houck, a bullpen game. Charlie, real quick on your picks.
I went totals in both my games. I took Oakland and Cleveland under 9.5 and Milwaukee and the Cubs under 8.5 in those 2 games.
We're here every Monday, Thursday, and Fridays. Check us out on Facebook.
He just froze up. Britannia Arms, thanks for being our new sponsor. Bass Ale, when you go there to watch the games. We'll be back with you tomorrow, 1 o'clock in the East, 10 o'clock in the West. That's it for us. Make the money and run.